This is one of those movies that it took me a long time to finally get around to giving it my full attention and really watch. I wasn't ready for the heft of this movie. I think that's part of what fed into the hesitation to watch it. I wasn't ready for the weight and for the feelings that could come up after watching something like this. You know, when you watch any good crime thriller and you go to heavy movie, drama, whatever it is, you come away with it. This is personally, I feel like most people feel like this, but I might be in the minority. You tell me if I'm wrong. When you watch a heavy movie, think of something like Heat, think of something like, you know, the Godfather movies, the Goodfellas, Casino, Scarface. Those types of movies are epics. They tell these grand, sprawling stories that leave you feeling like you've been through the ringer a little bit, because almost always they never end happily. That's one thing. But also, as you go through the journey with these characters, you are also, you know, you're feeling a lot of the heaviness with them. So every character death, every argument, you know, every heavy thing, every smack, someone gets smacked or something like that. Like, there's something that's really, you feel it, some of that stuff. And I find that you kind of have to be in the mood for a movie like that. That's just me. You're not going to watch these movies like this all the time. These aren't going to be your comfort movies. For some people, they might be. But I can't see The Godfather being a comfort movie. One of the greatest ways, I think, to look at a movie like this is as a Shakespearean tragedy. The series at large could be viewed this way too. And you know, if you followed this channel for any length of time, you know I'm a huge Shakespeare fan. Anything that has elements that feel like it could be from that thread, I'm all in. I'm with that. And like a Shakespeare tragedy, I feel like I also have to be in the mood for that. Having said that, you know, my favorite of Shakespeare's works are the tragedies. Well, particularly Hamlet. I've mentioned this more than once. That's my favorite of all Shakespeare's plays. I love all of his plays. I love his work. He's got great sonnets. He's got this lovey-doveyness about it, which I also love. But something that resonates is the tragedy. And The Godfather is, I feel like it's, you know, it feels like it's one of those types of stories. So with that, pull up a chair and join me as we get into the Francis Ford Coppola directed The Godfather. Let's talk about it. So in case you weren't aware, this movie is over 50 years old now. Just celebrated the 50th anniversary a few years ago. It's a big deal. But it wasn't a big enough deal to get me to watch it fully. I've been seeing it more frequently the past few years, pop up on different apps for free to watch. But, you know, I knew it was a long movie. And just from what I remember from the clips and things that I've seen over the year, I remember it's like, you know, it's a meaty situation. And I wanted to have proper time to devote to watch this movie. And so I've been seeing it pop up. I saw it again recently for free and on YouTube of all places. And, you know, some of you are aware, you know, it's been a weird time, I think, and heightened emotionally for my family. And Godfather is all about family. So it was a weird time to watch the movie, but also something about it felt resonant. Like, I'm not a part of a mafia crime family, but the familial threads, the conflict within the family, the different stuff having to do with fathers and sons and siblings, I recognize a lot of those things. So something about it oddly felt comforting. It's weird. I said earlier at the start of this video, it's not a comfort movie. But for me, at this particular time, I wouldn't say the film was comforting, but I think experiencing another family navigating familial challenges within how they operate as a unit felt very resonant. And in that way, it was comforting. Having seen it now, I completely understand how it's one of the best movies ever made. That might sound like hyperbole. For some people, The Godfather is just another overrated film, like Citizen Kane, or another one of those great movies. And, to each their own. Everybody has their own opinion about stuff, and that's completely fine. Even though if you don't think this movie is the best movie ever made, or one of the best movies ever made, you're absolutely wrong. No, I can only speak for myself. For me, this is a fantastic movie. It's very well made, very well acted. The production design is on point. The story itself is well told, and it's well adapted. That's the other thing too. Like, it's not every day you find a film that's been adapted from source material that also is well regarded, beloved, and is as good as the book. That's so rare. I can only think probably maybe of a handful, maybe 3 I can think of. Lord of the Rings is one. To Kill a Mockingbird is another one. Excellent, great book, excellent movie. There's another one in there, but I can't think of. But I think The Godfather. I haven't read the whole book. I read pieces of the book. So from what I've read, I don't know how you could have done a better job at adapting. It helped, I'm sure, to have Mario Puzo involved in the writing of the film. I know for a fact that it helped. Now it could have been done without him, but I feel like it would have been silly to have him not involved in the process. That's a surefire way to maintain fidelity to the source material. I think it's a primary reason you look at things like the Harry Potter films. Wherever you fall on the spectrum of how much you like those films or dislike those films, because J.K. Rowling was involved throughout the process, I think that's why you get some pretty sound adaptations. Now, they vary in quality depending on how you feel. Personally, I love them all, but I have some I like better than others. But I make no mistake, I think the films would be probably, they could still be decent, but they wouldn't have the magic without J.K. Rowling. I think similarly, The Godfather is the same way. It would be foolish if Mario Puzo was not involved. And I think that's one reason why this movie is so well adapted. And so the foundation was strong, and from the novel, but also the foundation from a script perspective was very strong. So it was almost like this movie had to be good. But that's one piece of it. The script is one thing. Having actors bring it to life is a whole other kettle of fish. And I think you also would have a lesser project if the actors weren't up to snuff. It amazes me that the studio didn't want Al Pacino. I remember hearing somewhere or reading somewhere a while ago that obviously they had other actors in mind for the role of Michael Corleone, like Warren Beatty, Jack Nicholson, and a couple others. Like, the movie probably still could have been good with either of those actors. But personally, I'm glad that the fates saw fit to have Al Pacino step into this role, and also I think it helped that he was relatively unknown at this point in time. He was young, and stepping into the role of the youngest son of the Corleone Empire and having him play that arc from, educated war hero to ruthless mafia member, and then ultimately the leader of this mafia family. It was masterful the way Pacino played the role. I can't imagine anyone else in the role. I feel like, again, you could have had anybody else and it would have been fine. The movie would have still been good. But I think Pacino's performance helps make this movie great. And then, of course, you can't not talk about Marlon Brando. This was the role, Vito Corleone was the role that earned him the Academy Award. Again, if you care about that kind of thing, hey, there you go. Academy Award, which he declined, you know all this already. But the great thing about Brando's performance in this movie is that it's so nuanced. He brings a quiet power to the performance. And you still feel like he's threatening, but you also get the sense that he's like this loving family man, and you feel his warmth too. One of my favorite elements of this movie is the opening. There is an opening monologue by someone who comes to Vito Corleone for a favor. It's a great monologue, by the way. It's on YouTube. You should watch it. It's very good if you haven't seen it. But that monologue sets up, in really not that much time, everything we need to know about who Vito Corleone is. You know he's the Godfather. And that scene tells us that he takes care of his people. He's a family man. And there's a darkness to him that he's not afraid to engage with. And in one scene, we get to know pretty much everything there is to know about Vito Corleone, and then the rest of the movie just allows us to see how this man operates in the space, in the world of organized crime, as a family man and the leader of a pretty dominant mafia family, and the cost of that, and what that means ultimately for Vito, but also for his family, and ultimately Michael. Yeah, Brando does a fantastic job. I think my favorite and most effective, I think, scene in the movie comes after an injury. Vito Corleone is injured and he's recovering, and the family are asking, talking to him, trying to, and he's asking about where his son is. He's asking, where's Michael? Sorry. It was, that really hit me. The way Brando portrays it, it's so subtle, and and you feel, immediately when he gets the answer to this question about where Michael is. Immediately that wherever Michael's going, the path that Michael is traveling is not one that Vito wanted for him. And you don't even have to have dialogue to say that. Brando's portrayal it's up here. It's gesture, it's body, it's no dialogue, and you get this. You feel his everything, his concern as a father, his disappointment at Michael's decisions, and the extra pain that's added onto that, on top of the physical pain he's suffering from, as a result of the life that it's just all this stuff. Marlon Brando, yeah, he does it's a fantastic performance. And then, just to say nothing of actors like James Caan, Talia Shire, you got Robert Duvall. This is and Diane Keaton. Like, this cast is ridiculously stacked. And it's got some great side characters, some good actors coming in playing small parts. Everyone is firing on all cylinders. The cast is ridiculous. So, as great as the story is, you need to have a cast that can measure up to that, can elevate the story, and it just makes it that much of a richer experience. Another great thing about this movie is the production design. It's fantastic. It's probably some of my favorite production design that I've seen in any movie. It's probably also one of the best examples of great period production design, from the cars to the clothes to the sets, the homes, the streets. It's fantastic production design. You could have told this story in the modern day, like in the 1970s when this movie was made, but I don't know, and it would have been relatively effective, but I don't know, something about it being placed, about the setting being in the 1940s, and have the film feel like that. It feels like which was a harder time, like a darker time. There was a rougher time. It's in the middle of it's like right after the Second World War, and there's a bunch of stuff jumping off. To have the production design reflect all of that, and so well, this was my issue. I think when if you recall, if you've seen the Godfather Coda review I put up, this was one of my biggest disappointments, I think, about that movie, and about how the first two Godfather films have just pristine production design, and the Godfather Coda or the Godfather Part 3 is the production design is good, but it doesn't feel like it's in keeping with the time period that it's supposed to be depicting. This movie does not have that problem, nor does Part 2, but excellent production design, just immaculate. The immersion is complete. You're in this world. You're in this time period. It's fantastic. The other thing I was thinking about regarding this movie that I really appreciated was the layers of it. How when you watch it again, you can get different things out of it. It's like watching a good show, like a good series. Like I thought of immediately the early seasons of Game of Thrones, or like House of the Dragon, or something like like Andor, shows that have layers to the storytelling, layers to the characters, and feel like they are telling just this rich grandness, this richness. And I think The Godfather would make a great miniseries, which I think if you know anything about the history of the various releases and versions of this movie or the movies, I read somewhere there was a novel version like that was on TV after the movie came out in the 70s. When it hit television, they were showing other edits of the movie, and it played like a miniseries. It was like a 4-part, 5-part. It's like, oh, excellent! Like that's it. Like it's like the movie feels like you're reading a book, and I think like some of the best miniseries or shows feel like that when it's done well. The pacing is great. If you watch them all together, you got that. You don't lose anything. It's not boring. And then if you take them, obviously, one by one, I think the feeling is the same. This movie alone is a great chunk of the book, and it feels like a good chunk of a book. And if you haven't seen The Godfather, this is a movie that I do highly recommend. If you can get down with Game of Thrones, you can get down with The Godfather. It's when you think about it, the story is not that different. The settings are different, but both deal with like family ties, and there's a good deal of like intrigue and betrayal and distrust and all these things that you would see in a rich tapestry of a story. Looking at it like that, man, you can do any of those miniseries or a series, you can do Godfather. So that's going to do it for this review. Thank you for hanging out and listening to me gush about this movie. I could talk about this movie forever, but I'm going to leave it here because, again, so many other movies to talk about. So with that, I'm getting out of here. Thank you for taking the time. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.